Absolutely. I always hope for that. We've got a really great lineup for you this year. We've got, obviously, our speaker who you're about to see. After that, we've got Dan Greenwald from Turn 10 showing you Forza 5. Later today, we've got Killzone Shadowfall from the other side of the divide. We've got The Witcher 3 on Saturday. We've got a load of stuff. If you haven't already, do look at the schedule downstairs. Now, we're being streamed live on YouTube, so you can check that out afterwards if you want. Great, thank you. And also, we're going to have a bit of time for Q&A at the end of this session. So if you think you have a question for our speaker, bottle it up, and there will be an opportunity later. And maybe have a think. It doesn't need to be about his games industry, anything that you might like to ask him. So, without further ado, Mr. Phil Harrison.
Thank you, Tom, and a very warm welcome to the EuroGamer Expo. It's a great pleasure to be opening up the developer sessions here at the show. I love the EuroGamer Expo. It's a highlight of the year for me. It's an opportunity for me to get close to the people who buy and to get your feedback. So I love getting that feedback. I love this opportunity to the games that you're most passionate about and you're most excited about. I would also like to just say thanks and congratulations to the whole team at EuroGamer for putting on this expo. I think it's a fantastic thing for the industry in the UK that we have a consumer show that gives you the chance to get hands-on or body on, as you'll see later, with some of the best games coming around. So please join me in a round of applause for the EuroGamer team. So we're here to talk about Xbox One. We are a few weeks and counting away from the launch. And Xbox One here at the Expo for the first time in the UK up close and get a chance to play them. There will also be Xbox 360 games here at Xbox 360 Edition and Fable Anniversary would be two games that I would include. All across the world here, playable for the first time. I've been making games for about 25 years or so. I started in 1984 working on some of the 8-bit home computers of the Oric 1 and the Commodore 64. The Commodore 64 screenshot there is really important because that was my on-ramp into the industry. The fact that you switched on a Commodore 64 and it said ready with a flashing cursor, it encouraged you to write and get engaged and get involved. And we'll talk about a little bit later on in the presentation the importance of the on-ramp into the industry and how we are helping to solve. My very first piece of published work, that was a game called Insect Insanity, written by my good friend Oric 1. We like to think of it as the Halo of its day. It is also confirmation as why I am no longer a graphic artist, but you get the sense of the technology that we were working with back in those days. It was about the Commodore 64 and 8-bit computers of the day. I'm sure some of you are familiar with these machines. Software houses and developers in the UK, making the tea and buying the pizza in some cases. And then worked at Mindscape. Then in 1992, I was one of the and helped build that business for 16 years. And then in 2008, conscious decision to how game developers were formed and how, crucially, game developers were funded. How the capital structure of development would enable started, and I helped and advised and invested in a number of companies to help venture partners, and I also was an advisor or listed here as well as an investor. In 2012, I joined Microsoft, but the thread that goes through all of this is what I'm passionate about, which is combining creativity and the three things that drive me in what I do, and video There is no better industry in the world to work and the consumer. We have come an awful long way since the early 1980s. I remember being at a conference in 88 or 89, a new record milestone of sales in the UK. I think £1 million of game sales had happened in the UK in the preceding year. And we were all really proud of clapping each other on the back. Until somebody pointed out that sales of avocados than £100 million, and that our industry was actually smaller than soft fruit. And that made us feel a little bit humble, but have grown enormously since then. Now, there are individual games that sell over 100 million in a single year just in the UK. Clearly, we're now a multi-billion-dollar industry globally, and as you know, I don't remind you about this, this is the world. Some examples very recently bring Grand Theft Auto 5, I'm sure many of you in this room have had the chance to play. Now, not only the fastest selling video game of all time with $1 billion of sales in just 3 days, but the fastest entertainment property of all time, getting to $1 billion faster than any other entertainment property. This is a cultural event on a global scale, and it's on video games, it's on console. And I think that's something that we should all be really proud of. Tomorrow, FIFA 14 coming out, one of the most amazing video games, one of the kind of annual franchises that in my mind, it's when FIFA launches. And we're really proud of our partner bringing exclusive content to Xbox 360 and Xbox One that you won't be able to play on Ultimate Team Legends mode. And this is the roster of players that you will be able to bring into FIFA 14 to create famous from the history of the sport. And this is a partnership that Electronic Arts coming only to Xbox 360 in Xbox One. We are really proud of the feedback and pleased of the feedback that we've had since Gamescom about the launch numbers. We're on track in the history of our company, and Xbox One is now in full production. I'd love to share with you a photograph you are going to see this week. Are you ready? Yeah. There it is. That is the first outer carton of Xbox One production line in the factory. I believe there are 3 inside each carton that then go to the retail. Sticker says 2nd, 2013. You have been warned. Here we go. Beginning of our production. I think the start of what we more than 10-year journey for Xbox One and all of the games that you will get on it. I can't wait to start playing on the 22nd. You can't as well. But for us, it's not just about the launch date. It is about the start of a journey where the console will be improved and will be adapted and changed. And one of the key points to this is our investment in Xbox, particularly the investment that we have made in the Xbox Live Cloud. This is a photograph of one of our data centers. We will be launching on day one over 300,000 dedicated servers for Xbox One players to interact with. What that actually equates to is the entire computing power of the planet. That's how much computational power and processing power we are putting on the cloud that your consoles can connect with and gain advantage from. And what this means is the best multiplayer service. Xbox Live experience in running what we believe is the best multiplayer, connecting you with players that you want to play with. That means that there will be no host migration, no host advantage. the first games announced to take advantage of that, and all of our games that will use multiplayer will have this opportunity. And it's also about cloud processing and AI. This is where some of the computational effort of a game can be offloaded to dedicated CPUs on the cloud to make your game experience even better. Better graphics, better lighting, better physics, and crucial. And this is an example of where we think the cloud is going to be the next generation of game development in new and creative ways that will make the experience even more better. Dan Greenawalt from Turn 10 is going to be talking about Drivatar a little bit later today, and I encourage you to check that out. So we've also listened to your feedback. We know that we wanted to create an Xbox One that was tailored to you. And we've taken games on disc as well as digitally and have all of the benefits that playing with games on bring to you from what you're used to, and we support that. And we also remain committed to, and we believe that our industry is going digital and becoming more and more digital, and we will give you that choice as well. However you want to consume content, it's up to you. Benefits that come with that, so digital and all the benefits that come with that. CPU inside of Xbox One since we announced. The best platform for the best games to create the best experiences for you as gamers. The Kinect controller. We have a number of key features that are unlocked because we put a Kinect in, which is voice and gesture control. You can command and control. You can walk into your living room and say, Xbox. It will identify and recognize you. It will mean that your game choices, your music, just where you left off from the last time you were playing. It means that where more than one person in the house is sharing the Xbox One, when they come to the Xbox One, they will be recognized and their choices will be brought up onto the home screen automatically. And we think that this is a tremendous advantage for players to be able to use their voice to command and control various. It's also about communication. Skype into the Kinect sensor. And it's 10 times the power of the Xbox 360 Kinect. That means incredible fidelity, incredible resolution measured in millimeters and nanoseconds. And who better what it means to get. I'd love to share with you now. Let's run the video.
Kinect Sports Rivals is a reimagined for Xbox One.
Throughout our history, we've always been about innovation.
It's a really technologically advanced, very, very powerful piece of kit. A camera is what we call a high-definition camera now. The feeds that you see compared to the old one are so much clearer, so we of motion, we can really get down to the body shape and the movement in there, and it really opens up a whole host of new opportunities.
The sensor itself uses a totally different technology to depth, so it's actually measuring the hit the sensor. On that, we use a thing called active IR as well, so this thing can see complete full 1080p colour feed. This thing can not only hear two people speaking at once and understand two people speaking at once, it can also see if their mouth's moving in a completely dark room. And that allows us to do crazy levels of detail. This thing can see my fingers at 2-3 meters away from the device. Original Kinect tracked about 20 joints on 2 people's bodies. Now we track 25 joints on 6 people's bodies.
The fidelity of the sensor allows us to detect the difference between 2 hand positions that almost to the naked eye look the same.
It's something we couldn't do before that we can do now.
technology of the camera and the power of Xbox One, and we actually scan you. By scanning you in, we kind of take, you could call it your digital DNA.
You've got your body rig and your face rig. So we scan your body type first, you choose whether you're male or female, and then you stand a little bit closer, and this is where the technology from Kinect really works. And we scan your face.
A mask of 1,400 points is mapped onto that, sort of shrink-wrapped on to those points. We get a really accurate mapping.
It'll understand the shape of your head, it'll understand your hair colour and your hairstyle.
Or lack of it if you're follically challenged.
And we take that and we make an awesome, super stylized version of you, which we call our champion.
The Kinect Sports Rivals a new type of avatar.
And I can guarantee you will look cooler in our game than you will in any other game.
The Xbox One and the new Kinect sensor has enabled us to pick up new gestures that allows us to create a better gameplay experience.
That angle that I have on my wrist to come through, and that's where the Kinect sensor really needs to have that accuracy, so that when I lose, it's down to me, and when I win, it's down to me.
How can we really up the ante on what Kinect is capable of and what the box is capable of? Making you the hero. Aspirationally, everyone wants to be the hero of their own video game.
Together, it gives you a sense of what the magic of Kinect means to gameplay. Sports Rivals downstairs on the show floor. Another game that uses Kinect in a really great way is Project Spark, all about user-generated content. And in this game, you get the chance to build. And one of the features that the team have added time motion capture using Kinect to create animations for your characters, which we think is really cool. Another important part of user-generated content is a platform feature built into Xbox One called Game DVR. This is where your magical gameplay moments get automatically recorded by Xbox One, and then using Upload Studio, you have the chance to edit those clips and share them with your friends and more publicly across Xbox Live. Here's the Upload Clip Manager, where you get to see all the clips that have been saved by Game DVR. They're automatically. This is a magic moment. We think the player will want to have this bit of video recorded. Your clips show up here. Your friends' clips and featured clips that we think are great, that we think are cool, we the featured area, but it's all about being able to edit and create pieces. And you use Upload Studio platform to edit your clips. You use thumbsticks to edit and trim for time, and of course you use Kinect to add video and audio into the feed. We have a video which shows this in action, and I'll talk over the top just to explain what's going on. Let's run the video, please. So here we have Project Spark, a piece of Game DVR footage that has been captured, 45 seconds of which was recorded, but you can record as much or as little as you like. And then that's taken into Upload Studio, and the player can then trim very quickly the video for length using the left and right thumbsticks, a really simple user interface. They can then record with Kinect their own video feed. So they're talking and adding kind of picture-in-picture content like a news broadcast. We want to put you into your own game masterpieces. And then once you have recorded the voiceover and recorded the expression about the game that you want to share, you can then use and you choose these very complex video effects that are just done with a single press of a button. You then or keep it private. You have control of this, obviously, and this is what the final clip looks like. We think this is a very powerful thing for you to share with your friends, the games that you love, but it's also a great way for you to discover new games and experiences that you don't know about. Because when you see a video clip of a game that you don't have, you can press a button and Xbox Live Marketplace, and you can download that game and check it out for yourself. We think this is a really powerful virality tool and a really powerful way of connecting games with gamers and gamers with the best games. We also asked the community to become the stars of tomorrow, and recently we encouraged anybody in the Xbox Live community to submit applications to becoming some of the anchor tenants of the Xbox One upload channel and the Xbox. And let's have a look at one of the submissions that we had. For those of you who saw Major Nelson do his Xboxing, this might be familiar. Let's run the video.
Here it is, the moment you've been waiting for. Unmining of Xbox One in Minecraft. We're gonna break into this bad boy right now. Ooh, are you ready? Take a look at this. Liquid black, beautiful. It's a slot loading Blu-ray drive. You got a super speed USB 3.0. We have the ports from left to right. We have the power port. We have the HDMI output followed by the SPDIF or optical audio out. Then we have HDMI in. Next to that, we have 2 USB 3 super speed ports. Next to that is Kinect. You can use an IR port, followed by a Kensington security lock. Next, we have the Xbox One controller with the 40 improvements here, which are going to change the way you game. Of course, you can see this as a special chrome D-pad. Hot. Last, we have the Kinect sensor, which has improved gesture and voice control, a greater field of view, so it will work in almost any room. One more thing I haven't shown you, the on-off switch. We've built something pretty cool here. I'll see you in November.
Pretty cool, huh? So Upload is your tool. It's your opportunity to share your creativity and your imagination with the world, and it's built right into the platform of Xbox One. We also think that creating the broadest possible landscape of games and making the most available games is an important part of our future, and that's why we launched the ID at Xbox One, where the broadest possible number of developers can create games for Xbox One and distribute them directly to you. This is something that I'm really passionate about, and I'm thrilled with the reaction that we've had from developers all around the world. The breadth, geographical diversity of developers who have applied for the program has been fantastic. The ID at Xbox program has 4 key features. The first is a streamlined certification process that makes it quick and easy for developers to get their games onto the platform and connect with the biggest possible audience. The second is access to development kits. Our vision ultimately is that every Xbox One will become a development kit. But until we get to that point, we will be loaning 2 development kits to every qualified developer to help them get started. The third is more tools and resources. We want our developers to have access to the full suite of the power of the machine, not just the chips and technology in the console, but Xbox Live, achievements, the cloud, and of course, Kinect. And then finally, it's about discoverability. It's about me as a game designer or game developer features into our platform that make discoverability easy. We have created a new marketplace with recommendations and trending so you can see what's hot amongst your friends and around the world and where you live. And we've also built in, as you've seen, the game DVR and upload features to mean that new games show up as video and you can actually get to see them and instantly connect to the store to play them. We think great for gamers because it brings those 2 together really easily. We've recently been working over the last year with a great new studio called Delilah, a company that has graduated from the Microsoft Studios Lift in Residency program. Here on stage today by AJ and Craig to tell us about their experiences. Please welcome. Thanks. Cheers, great, great to have you guys here. AJ and Craig, in my opinion, represent the future of video game development in the UK, and I think it would be great to hear about what it was that first got you passionate about video games in the first place and got you to this point today.
Yeah, sure. It's probably the same answer that everybody in this room would give. Playing video games when I was a kid growing up, right? Whether that's Super Mario World or A Link to the Past, playing with my friends and my family, my brothers. To now, so that's memories of playing Halo 2 and Halo 3. Like, hey, remember that English kids by pretending to be American kids, pretending to be English kids? That kind of stuff that always, you always get together with friends who you haven't seen for a while and you still talk about. So for me, it's all about those memories and those experiences.
AJ, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar. It's all about, like, it was the characters that did it for me. So I was very lucky that my parents got me my first NES when I was about 4 years old and kind of...
That's an early start.
Yeah, I know, right? It wouldn't happen in this day and age. But free and Battletoads, and then...
He's been playing it again recently as well.
Yeah,
and
he's still kicking my ass. But the big moment for me was probably when I discovered, like, LucasArts point and click. I probably fell in love with the idea of making games for a living.
So how did you turn of players into creating your own studio? What was the journey you went on?
Yeah, we call it the idiot technique, to be honest. Like, years were at other studios, and I worked with Craig at EGX, and then we moved together to Boston. The reason we call it the idiot technique is because basically one day our own studio, and believe it or not, I am only actually 28. I know my looks are quite deceiving, but yeah, Craig's actually younger. But and we just said, you know, fuck it. So one day we handed in our notices. No, they weren't expecting that from a Microsoft presentation, were they? One day we handed in our notices, and we had £3,000 between the two of us. I moved into my mum's garage. Craig moved into his girlfriend's mum's spare room.
Yeah.
And that was where the plan ended. Like, we were just like, look, let's make studio. Let's make sure we're making games that we love so that other people will love them.
How long did the £3,000 last?
Between the two of us, we made it last 7 months.
I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't fun.
No, it wasn't.
And how did you end up working with Microsoft? What was the sequence of events there?
I mean, timing played a big part of this. So last year at Develop, we begged them to give us a cheap ticket, and I went up there on my own.
And it was begging. That was based on the fact that 3,000 had close to run out by that point.
Yeah. I had advice from Microsoft, their Windows 8 stand, and I went up to a guy called Lee and I said, what the fuck are Microsoft doing here? And Windows 8 and how they're pushing forward and they're interested in working with indies. And it ended up that I got introduced to a guy called Andrew, who then introduced me. And Lee, for those of you that aren't aware, is an absolute legend, right? Lee used to work at Rare. He works on games like Diddy Kong Racing, Perfect Dark, Banjo-Kazooie, you know.
Basically, your child.
Yeah, our child.
He does deserve it. He really does deserve it.
There's people from Rare in the audience, isn't there? And I thought I was meeting him under the premise of getting advice, but it turns out, like, after 3 or 4 of these meetings, he was basically like, look, we want to bring an indie studio in-house, help them grow, be Delilah. And to be honest, we didn't believe it. We were happy if they would have paid us to move some tables in the office around for them by this point.
Yeah, exactly. It was quite interesting because I do remember the time. And again, this comes down to we'd completely run out of money, so AJ was doing these business meetings on his own. I still remember sitting at home in my pajamas, working on the game we were making at the time, getting a phone call, and AJ was like, no, this is really happening. Lee Schuneman really wants us to be
exciting you about the idea at Xbox?
Lovely insight where we've been on the inside, effectively, where we've been working with Microsoft. And the big thing about this to take risks that the big guys can't quite take.
I see this is a trend that's being developed here. Well, I wish you both the very best. Have you as part of the program, and I think we should all encourage these guys with the biggest round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Don't leave me hanging.
Thank you. So definitely games from companies like Delilah represent the future of our industry, but let's look at the launch lineup of Xbox One. 23 games that we're tracking for November the 22nd. Some of the biggest blockbusters on the planet coming to Xbox One, many of them in unique and exclusive ways with features that you will only be able to get on Xbox One. 11 of them are already billion-dollar franchises, global franchises that you already know and love, and there are new exclusive titles that will be coming and showing up on Xbox One for the first time. One of those franchises is Forza 5, and Forza 5, the highest-rated racing game of the current generation. They are going to be talking in more detail later, but they have a great video about building their... Let's have a look at that.
A racetrack, a zoetrope, you can't use just any car to hold the camera. You got to have something really special. something really awesome.
Well, the first ingredient of the world's fastest camera car is a McLaren. What it turns into is just this ultimate camera. Pretty magical to actually ride in it.
When you get a call from Jeff Swart in my business and he says, "Oh, I've got this have it fast. You want to do it?" The answer is hell yes.
C has a carbon fiber tub, it has the active suspension, and it's very reliable. This project is really exciting. I was looking for new and different products, something unique, something totally different.
We took a standard road-going McLaren and we added the camera package with the gyro stabilization, yet it's still performing around the circuit well, and I think that kind of speaks to why it's a great car to use for this.
It's a remote head, so we have it set up for all the controls to be in the front, in the cab, so Jeff can sit in there next to Tanner driving and pan tilt. It also has focus, has exposure in there, as well as an on-off switch.
So the shutter in it is a global shutter. It creates a very, very sharp picture. The game footage from Forza also. So the combination of using a camera that's no image that has incredible resolution, those are the two things we needed.
This isn't working! Oh. That's not. Oh, how do they do that? I'm gonna need a better camera.
Well worth checking out the full video. What they basically did was create the world's fastest and largest zoetrope, run the camera past some still images, and then because it was running at the right speed, the images animate, and it's Battlefield 4 and FIFA 14, both playable here on Xbox, EuroGamer Expo. Available for you to go and check. Showing up incredibly well here as we get into the launch lineup. And then Kinect Sports Rivals, as I mentioned earlier. We have a money cannot buy prize lap time that is achieved during the EuroGamer Expo. We are going to put you into the game. So if you get the we're going to scan you with your permission, and we are going to put you into the game so you are one of the players that shows up in the game day one, and you will be famous. So check out the game, get practicing, and you. I couldn't talk about the highest rated game in the history of E3, Titanfall, coming exclusively to console on Xbox 360 and Xbox One. It's here, playable. Let's have a very, very quick look at Titanfall.
I don't know if there's any honor left on the frontier. It was. I just know this is our land, and I will fight for it.
Product not yet rated.
So we wanted gamers, we wanted it to be the platform that had up in unique and exclusive, that in the future will have the broad creators building experiences for all. We wanted Xbox Live on Xbox One to be reimagined so that we had the best multiplayer service, so that you have to deliver the console, which was not just about the chips that are box under your television, but it's also about Kinect, it's about Xbox Live, the power of the Xbox Live cloud, all forming one amazing platform. We can't wait to share it with you on the 22nd of November, and look forward to an amazing 10 years or more to support. And I'd love to invite Tom back up on stage, and we're going to do Q&A if we have some remaining time.
I think we can get away with it because that's fine. But before we do that, I actually think you've got a little surprise for someone in the audience, haven't you?
I have a surprise. Under your chair, is it the underside of the chair? The underside of the chair. Somebody will have a bit more of a scrabble. You have a winner? No?
No?
Okay. All right,
we know where it is.
We know where it is.
Oh,
Yes. Gentlemen, please, if you would stand up. You have just won an Xbox One and a copy of Forza 5.
Very, very
We'll
cool.
get your details at the end.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, we can probably do a couple of questions. So if you stick your hands up, one of our volunteers will find you. So let's go here in the middle at the back, and then. Oh, sorry. Have we got someone over here as well? Where are we starting? Okay. And yeah, we've only got time for a couple. So here you go. Ask your question and then hand the microphone back. That's great. Thank you.
It's on. All right. So when's Rare going to make a new Banjo-Kazooie?
I think you're a bit of a Rare fan, aren't you, from incredibly hard on Kinect Sports Rivals. That's what they're focusing on right now. But you're right, they have an amazing history of some of the most amazing IP in our industry. Killer Instinct, which is another Rare game, will be coming at launch. Not developed by Rare, but still one of the... But no plans to announce today.
Okay, I think we're going over here on the right. Why don't you stand up to ask your questions? That'd be great. Thanks. Cheers.
Hi, Phil. Question's more of a theoretical one. Obviously, similar like in the world of PCs and consoles, technology is like developing at a phenomenal rate. You know, it's gone from the first gen PlayStation to PlayStation 2. You know, it took 10 years. From between PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3, we're looking at 7 years. You know, shorter than. Same with PCs, you know, development of processors, RAM and so forth, everything is taking a lot shorter time to come out. Where do you think it's going that with the next gen of consoles coming out now, that we're looking at 4 years, 5 years till the next one comes out, and then after that even less? I mean,
so without going kind of through a potted history, PlayStation to PlayStation 2 was 5 years. And then Xbox to Xbox 360 and Xbox 360 to Xbox One has actually been the longest generation, over 10 years. I think it's about making and the big future developments that was not available to us when we were designing consoles earlier in the generations. And the cloud is what's going to keep the console relevant, fresh, and new, and what's going to create new experiences that will delight and amaze people all around the world for years and years to come.
Great. I'm afraid we've only got time for one more question, and it's going to...
Hi, Phil. I've got one question. You spoke briefly about reality tools. Can you expand a little bit more on that and how you think they're important for the future development of the game industry?
So the question was about virality tools. We've built into the platform a number of tools that will allow the best games to come to and also we think are cool that show off the platform in the most amazing way, so we can spotlight those games as well. Then, as you saw from Game DVR and Upload, we're putting virality into the hands of the your video game moments with your friends and more broadly across the community, so that your friends can see what you're playing. Oh, I haven't seen. There's, I think, Buy Me Now, and it will take you to the Xbox One marketplace, and you can download that game. See, won't just be linked to the platform itself; it will expand eventually over your. A great way of connecting games with gamers and making developers have their products.
Cool. Thank you very much.